Okay, so stewarding for round 9. The first incident in split 1 is Baz and Kevin. Kevin goes from you into turn 1. Baz loses control and gets spat out. Exit. Making contact with Baz. Baz did everything right. Saw it happening. Left enough room. This is a very opportunistic move that's difficult to pull off. And as we see, Kevin just lost control and took onto the grass. What do you think for penalty points?
I think it's probably a 2.
Yep.
3 would be too harsh, and
I agree with that.
fits the criteria for 2.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so on to the next one, which is Kevin and Carlton feature lap 1. Let's see here. After the chicane, apparently. Okay. Oof. We see the bird's eye view here. Ooh. Okay, so it wasn't net code. What do you think?
I think they're both. I mean, I guess to start, we're putting the decision making kind of to the side for now. Probably not the best move to make on Carlton's part, making it 3 wide here. Can understand why it's tempting, but with that aside, I think both drivers here are leaving a very borderline amount of room. That being said, though, I think Carlton is following the curvature of the track more or less, at least at the start. And Kevin is pointed a little more left than he needs to be a few car lengths before this. But again, I think both drivers could have driven this slightly better.
In my opinion, I think Carlton maybe, I don't know, he's a little bit too cautious, or maybe he overreacted because everything looks good here, and then all of a sudden, whoop, the car straightens out, and he stops following the curvature of the track. It's all good, all good, all good. And then he starts going over towards the right. Maybe target fixation, maybe an unnecessary correction right there.
Yeah. It's not the contact. It's like an active steering movement.
Right. And it's perfect up until this point, the perfect amount of room. I think they would have got away with it if it wasn't for that tiny steering input. And, although technically there was space on the right for Kevin, if he did go into that gap, I think he would have understeered into the grass. So I think up until this point, they're both dealing with the the situation the best they can. And then Carlton right here just makes that tiny correction. It ends up catching Kevin. I think because the margins were so small, it probably wasn't the best decision to go for this on lap one. It's such a narrow section of the track, but the margins were so small, the mistake was so small, difficult situation to navigate. I'm not sure if it's a 3 over a 2, but I don't know what you think.
I
think you could argue either way, so depends on what you think.
Yeah, I don't know. Are we considering this a straight? It's I guess. I would be leaning, I think, because of the decision it took to be put in this place in the first place, makes it more of a 3 in my eyes. Just because this didn't need to happen, putting ourselves in this position. It's just a 3 wide scenario where we're going around a curve in the track that leads into a curve the opposite direction is kind of a recipe for disaster, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Decision making part of it wasn't perfect. Yeah, I'd say that we can accept this 3. But this, and that is it for split 1. So split 2, first incident, Javier Alfredo, heat 2, lap 1. See what happens here. At the hairpin, some contacts. Okay, so apparently there was not enough space left on the inside. See here.
Question is, did Javier deserve space on the inside? There's probably 2 perspectives to look at this from: coaching and stewarding.
I mean, I would say yes, because they're going side by side ahead. They're going side by side ahead. What's the gap? The car in front here. Maybe a car with a car length off. I would assume if you're going for this move, you're going to try and complete it, not try and back out of it and slot in. And personally, that's a pet peeve of mine. When someone tries to slow down and slot in, when there's cars behind, and it's maybe easy to forget or not realize there's cars behind you in the heat of the moment. But this is lap 1. It's a guarantee there's going to be a train of cars behind you. A lot of checkups. You can't just slot in behind and expect them to disappear all of a sudden.
We've
That
seen
being
this at
said, sorry, go ahead.
the hairpin at Montreal a few times.
Yeah. That being said, I'm not sure if that's what Alfredo actually tried to do, because it looks like he does just about leave a car's width, or just about less than a car's width. Like he does try to leave some space, but not quite enough, in my opinion. So, um, um, I think from Harrier's point of view, if he optimized his line, then tries to follow through Michael, the gap would have been much smaller, and he would have been side by side with Alfredo much earlier. You know, the similar angle, similar momentum. The contact would have been inconsequential, really. So, looking at it from both drivers' point of views, but I do think in terms of penalty or stewarding, I think it's more on Alfredo. But you know, saying that, Javier could have backed out of it, right? You know, self-preservation has to come into the equation at some point. But at this point, you're not leaving enough space. You have a little bit of contact. You know, just get off the throttle or drag the brakes to keep it further to the inside. It's going to be frustrating because you lose momentum and exit. You might lose a position, but it's better than this outcome here. You get damage and lose multiple. So, you know, that's it from a coding, stewarding, and coaching perspective. From my point of view, at least. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm still, I guess, trying to consider the fact that basically what you said, if Javier optimizes on entry, I don't think this incident ever happens. So I guess I'm not sure how much that changes the outcome. I think if Alfredo just gets spun here and Javier doesn't get damage, I would be leaning towards NFA probably. But Javier does get damage from behind because he does have to slow down due to the contact. I think it could be like a very light penalty for Alfredo. He already got a pretty good punishment from the spin. Plus, there was the mitigating factor that this could have been avoided if Javier fully optimized his entry.
Right. I agree with that.
So, saying that, I guess I'm leaning more towards either a 1 or a 2 for Alfredo.
I think it's a 2 penalty, but because Alfredo was already punished, a 1 is enough.
Okay.
I'm guessing we'll revisit this soon here. Next one, Javier again, and Blake in the feature this time. That one. Into the chicane. Oof. Hey.
Yeah.
Just the camera here.
Ooh. Pretty straightforward one there, I think.
Yeah, straightforward 3, in my opinion.
Yep.
It was very borderline in terms of breaking point on lap one cold tires. I think Javier actually braked at the correct place, but you can see the brake like flashing. This is a lesson of why you should always brake at the limit once you commit to, and fully commit to it. When you're trying to release the brakes or any funny stuff, it introduces inconsistency and unpredictability. Predictability.
Right. Just adding on to that, if you've already committed to the limit under braking and you're trying and you realize you're kind of holding the same momentum as cars around you when you were trying to go for a pass, releasing the brakes and trying to get back to the limit a second time is a very advanced thing to do, and can be quite hard to execute. So I think, if you didn't get the momentum differential, the overlap you're hoping for initially, it's probably best just to wait for the next braking zone to go for the move again.
Right. Okay. Next one is Logan. Yeah. E2 lap one. E2 lap one, apparently a rejoin. Yeah. Yeah, I think
Nice avoidance, Jan.
Yeah, I
I
think
must say.
this is unfortunately a pretty cut and dry rejoin penalty. It doesn't look like it was intentional. The car's so destroyed that Logan couldn't really keep it off the race line. But that's not really an excuse. Now I know it's frustrating when you already lost so much time. I mean, you've got one more car coming along, but you don't want to jeopardize anybody else's race. So next one is that's it for split 2. On to split 3. Okay, first incident in split 3. Let's see what we've got here. Dive bomb into the hairpin, apparently. Yeah. So I think, this is quite obviously Adrian braking too late, locking up and missing the apex. From a coach's perspective, I mentioned the pit party, this hairpin leads onto a really long straight. So if you just stay behind and set up a good exit, you're pretty much going to get a free overtake with no danger involved or risk involved. So this move isn't the most advised. But from a coaching perspective, towards us, right? It looks like you were well aware of Adrian behind you, right? And if you break on the limit and the driver behind has so much more momentum, the result for them should be quite obvious, right? They're obviously braking too late and they miss the apex. So this, lesson learned, this could have been a very easy switchback, right? If you were keeping your eye on the mirror for a split second, you would have seen the momentum difference and the results would have been possible to see. But Coach Stewarding, I think this is pretty cut and dry. What do you think?
Yeah, I think coaching aside, it has to be I think a moderate 3.
Yeah.
I feel like it has to be 3 more than 2, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it is such a big
Contact.
delta.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, it's car control and decision making based incident too. Next one is Nozomi and Adrian. Heat 1, lap 1. Apparently just a late braking.
Ooh.
Oof. Yeah, just Adrian didn't leave himself enough time to optimize his straight line braking. Considering it was cold tires, he had warmed up tires. I think this would have been perfectly fine, but he didn't. So what do you think?
I think unfortunately, it's, can we see it one more time? Yeah, I think it has to be same penalty as the last one. 3 points for Adrian.
I agree. Next one, Nozomi and Lance. Same race, lap 4. Okay.
Uh-oh. Zamia has been a little unlucky here.
Mm-hmm.
Can we go back to the where Nizami breaks?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's a little early.
Yeah.
Or a lot early.
The breaking point is more around here. So that is quite a distance from here to here. I was gonna say I don't think Lance wanted to go for a move here. It was more in reaction to the early breaking. So I don't think this is on Lance. He was taking avoiding action. But at the same time, Nozomi, the car is pretty destroyed. Maybe we look at some previous laps. Yeah, also braking quite early for lap 3. Really early for lap 3. And also lap 2. So I don't think it was abnormal from their point of view. I think they're just being a bit cautious on broken car. Call it Lance out. Does that make it excusable? What do you think?
Good question. Can we see it from Lance's cockpit just one more time? I think it was a little bit of an overreaction on Lance's part, just a touch. He could have kept the wheel like pretty much straight from this point forward and really tried to maximize straight line braking. The turning is what causes him to lose deceleration,
Right.
and then have to panic and force later on.
Yeah, at this point here, Lance kept it straight. It would have been fine. But it's a really fine margins from his point of view.
Hard to say. I think this could go either way, to be honest. As in, hmm.
Um, I think it would be harsh to give either one a penalty, to be honest.
Mhm. There's mitigating factors on both sides.
Right. Hmm. Like the brake, a lot of drivers will argue it's the car behind responsibility, but the braking was so early, and the reaction was reasonable. The reaction time was reasonable, in my opinion. he tried to do it safely. It's a bit unlucky. I don't know. A penalty would feel wrong, but Sean Nozomi was not happy about this either.
My opinion, I'm leaning more towards NFA.
Yeah. Okay, so on to the next one. Lucas eat one lap 7. See here. I think it looks like enough space is left. It's close. It's close.
But again, like, can we go back to the entry before we jump on the brakes? Just because I think it's close for sure. But even if there is a little bit of contact, as long as Dominicus optimizes line on entry, it's just going to be a small little 0x. But because there's a difference in angle and trajectory here, it makes the contact worse. Now, to be fair, it is incredibly hard to perfectly optimize coming into this section because of how the track curves. But I do think Dominicus could have done a slightly better job. And consider the fact that because he wasn't optimizing fully, he can't break as late as he did.
Right. And I think Dominicus breaks a lot earlier. And at the point of turning, I mean, look at the difference in momentum. It looks like there's not going to be any overlap at all. And all of a sudden, Dominicus starts gaining again. So I think he released the brake a little bit too early to try and force it. And that extra speed gets him a little bit sideways. I think Dominicus was not in complete control of his car here. We have a closer look. Like, to me, that looks like too much slip angle more than the spec racer can handle.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. I think, so yeah, there was overlap initially, but then there wasn't overlap at this point, and then the move was a little bit forced. Nikus didn't quite hold his line either. Well, he wasn't going to, in my opinion. I'd say NFA. Well, actually, it did kill it someone behind. It did kill it someone behind. Which is unfortunate. Whether that makes it a penalty or not, I'm not sure. What's the verdict?
Hard to say. Hard to say. I don't know. I think. Can we see the contact just one more time with Dominicus and Namer at the apex? Honestly, I think Dominicus got a little lucky that it didn't take out the 30 car.
Mm.
I think we could be having a much different conversation right now. Which I guess is always part of it, but then again, like Namer could have left more room. So I don't know.
I think that's the theoretically perfect amount of room, in my opinion. Like, there's no margin for error, of course, but technically, in my opinion, that's enough room. You do kind of want to hook your front right tire. This curve here.
Mm.
I think sure Nemo could have left more room, so technically it was avoidable on both parties, but I think Dominicus could have done more, multiple things he could have done slightly differently.
I guess, do you want to just go NFA and say Dominicus already got punished, and then I think it's unfortunate that it collected a driver behind, but
Yeah, Dominicus hit his brakes and it's just unfortunate here. It's like NFA.
okay.
Um, Next one, I think this is a repeat protest. Split 3 heat lap 1. Let me just double check to make sure. Split 3 heat 1 lap 1. Yep, repeat protest. Wait, what happened here? Okay, so next one, Adrian, another self-protest, and I think another heat protest. Let me put multiple parts of it here. So race 2, lap 1, chicane. Don't see anything there.
Was there something there in the first apex of the chicane? I could be wrong. No.
Oh, I
Oh.
guess it was that.
Might be looking at the wrong. Are we looking at 912? Incident 12?
I'm looking at, yeah, 912.
Okay.
In the,
Is the 74ers?
I think, yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Um, hmm. I think there would have been contact without the netcode, but no, we can't be 100% sure. So I don't want to give out penalties based on something that didn't happen. Rejoin wasn't the best though. It definitely was not the best. Parallel to the track at the apex. I mean, the bail, the option was right there. Just got across the track.
We did speak about this in the pit party. I don't think these two were there, to be fair, but
Especially when the reason Urs went off was his own mistake of braking a bit too late. Kind of lucky. I think it's lucky it was a slow corner, so no, naturally they had similar momentum. I don't know if it's a penalty or not. I mean, going by the book, I'm not sure if this. I think yeah, the low speed saves him, stops it from being a really bad rejoin.
right. And there is certainly some avoidance being taken by Adrian.
Right.
I think there should be a small penalty. Actually, does he get damage, Adrian? I think he does. Or is that already there?
So he gets damage from that. So yeah, I think that changes things a bit.
What do you think about a 2? It feels maybe slightly harsh.
I don't know. I think a rejoin that causes damage that was easily avoidable. I think after seeing that damage, it either upgrades to a regular rejoin penalty or
Really?
a warning.
Was he completely off the track, though?
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it was an easy option to bail. You're right. In fact, that's the best option instead of trying to force it. Yep. I guess that falls more into the description of a regular unsafe rejoin penalty.
Mm-hmm. I think it doesn't look as bad because of the huge net code, and Adrian did a decent job at avoiding. But a rejoin is a rejoin. Then Adrian has reported part two. Um, I guess I was just breaking it down, I guess. On to the next one, Adrian. Feature at 5. So repeat, I'm not sure. I think it is. Test.
Yep.
And then Adrian, Neymar, Heat 2, lap 7. So, final corner. Here we go. Car 27 had a bad exit. Cars 30 and 71 were overtaken. This is the incident. Benjamin just breaks on it too late.
Mm-hmm. Think He also falls under the limit at 1.2.
I think they get away with it because of the lucky bounce. Whether that affects the penalty points or not, I'm not sure. I think, well, yeah, I think at the end of the day, what happens, and the same way this could be considered a lucky bounce. I think Benjamin's in Australia. Yeah, so maybe this contact here is exaggerated too. Like, and it looks worse than it really is because of the internet.
I love how the car behind the car making the contact is the one that hops.
Right. So I think we can't say like this contact is, what really happened and deserve to be punished, and then this contact is lucky. I think you have to treat both contacts as in the context of high ping. So I'd say no need to overcomplicate it. End up being a pretty light contact, barely any time lost. I'd say a 1-pointer, to be honest.
Okay.
Now, unless Adrian got a lot of damage from that, it's the only thing that would change it, but I don't really like it.
I think that damage was there beforehand.
And one final protest in split 4. So one more protest in split 3 into the hairpin.
Mm.
Mm. What do you think?
I think if you leave the racing line by that much, it does become a little bit unpredictable for the cars behind if you're changing trajectories that aggressively.
Mm-hmm.
It's like where else can Benjamin really go? There's nowhere else he really can be.
Right. And yeah.
Plus, like Benjamin will just leave a car width on exit or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I think 2 points.
I think so. Yeah, there's a decent bit of, or there's a good loss of track position.
Now on to split 4. Split 4. Benoit. Feature. Lap 1. Oh no. Anticipation a little bit lower than usual. Feature lap 1. Yeah. I mean, the cars ahead are braking really early. I think the question is there enough time to react? Benoit react in a reasonable amount of time?
We're also a little under the limit.
Right.
Under braking.
Yeah, I think the reaction time's okay. As you said, that's under the limit longitudinally. And this was a unavoidable in my opinion. What do you think?
I think unfortunately, because it is in a straight line, there was a decent bit of time to react. I think I'm leaning more towards the 3.
I agree. That is it for week and Stewarding.